Alafia, good morning. I'm making this video and it was inspired by African Real Jamaican. He is a distant relative that I hadn't seen since I was like 7 years old. And he wanted some information, so he insisted I go to Waffle House with him. And while we were there, we were chatting. I'm not going to talk about his personal business, but you guys should already know I'm a diviner, and people who know about those types of gifts, or they may have them themselves, they know how to get it out of you. And something we discussed was clarity, overstanding, understanding, healing relationships, and some other stuff. But I want to mention when we went to Waffle House, while it could appear as if we were having a regular conversation, I knew I didn't want to be there because I was tired, but it was something going on. So in the background, I hear these older Gullah Geechee guys. Some of them are working there. They making comments. They're saying things like "oh do," and in short terms, "oh do" meant like she gonna change your life, bruh. Like they didn't know what was going on, but that's what that means. So if you want to do research on what that means, um, you can look it up or ask uh, someone, within the culture. I said the short word Odu, but there's also a longer, more complex thing behind that. So anyway, my trip to Africa um, was a $2,000 mistake, and I had $2,500 left. Now, at the time I was courting with this polygamous couple because me and the young lady was friends and I wanted her husband help. However, what I noticed is that when it was beneficial to her, we can all talk together and everything was fine. But if something got in her way, she would be like, "No, you can't talk to him," or "I got to see what's going on right now, blah blah blah." So let me say, if y'all people that's coming into the culture or you was related to the culture and you coming back and you want to practice polygamy, and I don't know if people are joining because or trying to join because of the money or whatever it is, but if you doing a polygamous relationship, it doesn't work like that. You can't just be like, "Oh, only talk to the husband when I want to talk," and it can't be like that. And it's not about sexuality. It's about benefits and resources. So the Americans doing that, making like it's a orgy or a three-way, that's not what it is. So that's what happened to me. And so when I had $2,500 left, I put my life in other people's hands and I wanted them to help me out on getting some things with the rest of my $2,500. Um, and the mistake that I made for the past year was just putting other people before myself. I was supposed to go to Africa in February. I didn't go. My friend was having a car show. I wanted to help her. And somehow it got switched around like she just wanted to help me and I was didn't have nowhere to live, blah blah, but that was not true at all. I stayed to help her. And then my auntie who was sick, I stayed and helped her. Then I'm thinking I'm going to go to the village for 2 weeks and then go on a plane to Africa. However, dealing with the type of family I come from, they call it cornering. So if everyone is working together and you're not in on it or they're talking behind your back, they would do things like hide your passports, mess with your money, just do little things that you may not be aware of until the end. You know, if you, I'm not Arab, I'm black, but if you come from an ancient culture like that and they practice certain things, women single living alone is not the ideal way. And I do own property. However, me living alone or being alone was not the best idea. So, fast forward, my passport expired. Well, it didn't expire, but I didn't have enough time on my visa in order to make that trip. And so my grandmother and my aunt, like, come on, just come, just come. And so I did that, but I didn't expect, I give people too much credit, and I think it's because I did those things myself. I remember I was in Korea with my crazy abusive ex, and I remember I gave one of the young ladies $200. She was from my hometown, and she had spent 5 years in Korea. Now it's a big ass world, and my town is small, so the one person who was there and she was having issues, I wanted to give her the money because she wasn't well versed in credit. She really didn't know certain things. But when I did that, my ex looked at me like, "What the hell wrong with you? Like, why would you do that?" But some people are just like that. Now, with that being said, I have to acknowledge others as well. I contacted my ex boyfriend because I knew that he lived or had connections in Charleston, and I wanted him to help me. So now that I see clear, me giving all that information at once and trying to overload you with everything I've been doing for the past year, and it's a lot of moving parts, but I'm not lying about anything. So my sister brought it to my attention. She was like, "How long was you talking to him before you asked him for money?" And I'm like, "Oh, a couple of days or a week." And she's like, like that wasn't a good idea. But she didn't give me an explanation on why that wasn't a good idea. Now I know. And if he didn't care about me at all, he would never have offered his home to me. My grandmother was supposed to bring a car, but as soon as I told her I was going somewhere that was outside of where she knew I was going, she decided not to bring the car anymore. So that was frustrating. I didn't want to be stranded at his house, and I know how he was before, so I didn't want to fully burden him. But at the same time, I didn't even think once that he might have had trauma in the past dealing with money or somebody getting the money or just something like that. I didn't think about that. And now that I have, I want to apologize and say, because I was mad as hell. I was mad, and forgive me. When I'm mad, I take it out on everybody. I even took it out on my sister husband. And he, he's a pretty quiet guy and is a good guy. But later on, the next day, he went looking up Kevin Samuels, listening to him, and he used that to start a little fight. He was like, "Why is these women calling this man and something, and I don't need no damn advice for no damn relationship." And I forgot about his personality. He'll be quiet, but then later on he coming back full force. He gonna let you know what time it is. Okay, so um so that was the situation there. But I also have to ask the question, do men not like giving women money because it makes them look soft? Did you really not have the money? Did you think I was lying and wanted to stay at the hotel with other men? And I say that because at the village, I have three guys who's like my bodyguards. The only thing I asked them to do was, and they perform, we do our thing. Only thing I asked them to do was if there's a fight or commotion around me, try to calm it down, walk away, or, just keep me out of the situation because I can't deal with a lot of intense fighting and stuff. So when I was losing my things and one of my my Gullah Geechee protectors, he was like, "Why you keep losing your shit? Is it because you messing with a man or something?" And I snapped. I'm like, "Why do me losing my shit got to do with a man? Like, I ain't your girl." I just started going in, but what he thought was a man was distracting me and making me lose my things. But what's actually happening was those white folks that was recording or whatever, they didn't want me having all my shit during the festival, but instead of telling me directly, we're having media here, you shouldn't have your shit around, they just kept asking me questions about just trying to do shit behind my back. And with a diviner, and y'all know you can't do stuff behind our back. We hear you, see you, smell it. Somebody should have just said that directly to me instead of all of that. But we know with all communities and families, which everybody act just alike. So I don't know why folks are so mad in the first place. I walk off. I told everyone in my love circle, don't take anything I say to heart or serious because this is not just for you, this is for everyone else. So I had to ask that. So I acknowledged that it was too soon and there might have been triggers. Another thing, anybody who's a seeker, a truth teller, everybody's gonna think something is wrong with their mental health. Sephra is not crazy, okay? Um, there's a young lady that's coming over. I recorded her. She's the one that I had on Facebook with the breast who was breastfeeding the baby. She's also a social worker and she's in the same field as me, just a different way. So she's going to come over and we're going to see what we can do about this mobile social work program based on the dynamic from Even Start, which was a program led in Carbondale, Illinois, for the disadvantaged young adults, similar to the free lunch program. So I want to kind of get that started, and it has to be bigger than just one city and one state because last year I traveled everywhere, and everywhere it was the same issue. And whenever we would get, and I'm going to say we because it's a lot of truth seekers, we would get frustrated. People in our own circle would be like, just don't worry about it. Just ignore it. Just mind your business. Just blah, blah, blah. That ain't never going to happen. So stop telling your diviners, your people in white, or y'all special people with gifts. Stop telling them that because it's not going to work. And I also want to add no matter what type of thing that you have, you're still a person in the flesh. So the spirit realm, the fleshy realm, like those things are mixing and we can't really deny it. A lot of people are still in the dark about the spirit world and it's it, you ain't gonna be able to keep doing that. So let me switch gears real quick and maybe this will bring some more clarity. A year ago, I created a website and a plan on what I was going to do and what was going to happen. And everything manifested itself, but I didn't count on how much my emotions and dealing with people would affect me. Because when it comes down to it, people like money and they'll sell your ass out for the almighty dollar. They will do that. There's a few people who won't do that, but most people will. So, this is a year ago. Business purpose for the Queen of Waters, angelic daughters and spirits. Sephra, purpose is creativity. My market is creativity in children. Platform for arranging marriage between Black Americans, African, Jamaican, and other indigenous culture, which I gave that up because too many of y'all have given your bodies and yourself over to the Eurocentric way, and it just doesn't work. So whenever you all meet up with somebody of indigenous, you can destroy them and mess with their gifts. So I'm not an advocate of mixing the cultures anymore because Euro people can just do what they want. And instead of enhancing the craft, they can drain the craft, you know? Sephra is a mental wellness advocate for children's special needs, vulnerable people, freedom of religion and spiritual expression, my unique style of creative arts to promote health, wellness, and bring out the creative passions in the community. That's what originally I started on. And I'm not doing it by myself. There's more than one person. And what I've noticed is a lot of people who have these causes and believe in these things, a lot of times they're the only ones and they need a little push or somebody with a little bit of a different understanding or capability than what they have. You know, you got to think, why would a woman who's financially stable, have property, was in the military for 12 years, all of a sudden be in a situation? Which is not going to be for long because when I got home, I looked up every online money making site that you can get. I wouldn't get paid until 2 weeks, but I will never be in that situation again because people don't give away money like I used to, you know? Um, I'll never do that. And so don't get weirded out when you see me having emotions and crying, and then the next time you see me with hella people. What that is when you have a divine cause, you go where you're being led. The Orishas is everywhere. So one thing I want to say to the Euro world, you might not like the root, you might not believe in the root, but you need to respect it, at least as a Black person. You don't have to put us on your Facebook. I know the white people are going to be nervous, but share it in private. Share it to people that you think can benefit and help and can do something outside of yourself. Don't just totally coon out for the white man. And I know those words sound harsh, but those are the words that I was taught. When I was with my ex, he was telling me these words. I can't remember everything, but I know when we discuss culture and religion, I would really be trying to avoid the subject or just say a little bit at a time because I was trained not to do and say certain things. I'm coming out of that now. You know, it's amazing how you could be amongst people and they can know nothing about you. I was watching the Gullah man Kwame Brown this morning, and in his comment section, there was a young man, Coke Giles Zachary Shaman McLeod. And when you put your stuff on social media, I assume that you can say it again and be public. He said Choctaw Nation, Chickasaw Nation, Cherokee Nation, Creek Nation, Sauk Nation, Sioux Nation, Delaware Nation, Gullah Geechee, Somali, and then he said stand up. Now, a year ago, I made a plan to visit indigenous tribes. I had my car with all my artwork, I want to be a traveling artist and just be independent. A lot of people do. With that being said, I had no clue of the events that would occur today, but those are places that I plan to visit, and I already was able to go to the deepest areas of where they keep tradition in Jamaica and America, but I haven't been able to get to Africa yet. And I really believe that the reason why my trip was sabotaged was that I still had work to do here. You might not be able to see everything, but girls are paying attention. Young women are paying attention to me. I used to be a teacher and I worked with a lot of people. So if you are an American that portions of your family practice ancient tradition and your dreams are getting more vivid, you're hearing whispers, anxiety, PTSD, and just certain things that are just like, hold on, I need to explain that shit. That's my purpose. I know that young women are watching me, and I'm the only person in a lot of these people's lives that have a connection to what I have a connection for. So those are the people I'm doing it for. I'm not bragging. I don't want Americans to think that Africans are people who practice the ancient craft are dissing them or dissing Jesus or acting like they're better. It's time to get beyond that. Whew. See, once I get to talking, I like it. Um, So when I was at the beach, there was a group of birds, and there was one I caught eye contact with. And I was doing my hand and was circling the bird was following my hand. And I'm like, did y'all see that? Like that's amazing. And then the babalawo that my grandma sent to me, he was like, everything ain't spiritual. He thought you had food. Even if that was so, which I believe it, whether, imagine if all of the birds can be controlled with my hand and I can fly them into certain places and fuck shit up. That sounds bad, but that's on a more simple that's a simple example because blacks were originally animists, herbalists, and spiritualists. So we've had to fight with animals. And in Nigeria, those young men are dealing with the hyenas. So imagine people who can deal with the weather, animals, and the spirit realm. The Euro don't like those type of people. I stopped going to the doctor because I had to lie too much. And then when they discovered things about my culture, they always would ask, have you ever been tested to see how you see the world and how you blah, blah, blah? Don't let them motherfuckers think you crazy. What we're doing is totally natural. And the blacks that are afraid of the dark, you can just go your own way, but respect us. Ignoring the root and disrespecting the root, all I could say is not good. So when I saw Go Black to Africa's YouTube, when he took away his business partner's charcoal, I don't really know how to feel about that because I know that some of us take our shrines and altars really serious, and depend on where you go and who you dealing with, you can get fucked up messing with somebody's shrine or altar. I left a money pot in Dallas and I'm going back to get it. I'm going back to get it. And I know where I left it, and the person I left it with knows exactly what it was for. So if there's any, oh, I don't have it no more, or this happened, we're probably going to be at odds because I don't need any attention. I'm gaining attention now because it's for to attract attention to certain people, but I want my shit. I want my shit. It's amazing how industry and Euro people will like divinity, but the moment you say something that you ain't supposed to know or something that's too deep or secretive, they don't like you no more. However, they'll take advantage of your social disadvantage and get what they need out of you, and then it'll be a wrap. It's amazing. But I don't give a fuck. If you have talents and gifts and you are a flexible person, the sky's the limit. I didn't know my grandma was going to set me up, um, and I was going to have so much fun at the other festival because I was pissed off. I wanted to stay at the village, but I was also being more selfish because I wanted everything that I wanted. I wanted the car, I wanted everything to fulfill my cause without explaining fully what it was and all the moving parts that was going on with what I was doing. And it's kind of difficult to explain that because I don't like people changing my mind or asking me why. When I make decisions, I'm pretty adamant about it. So most of the time I'll keep it secret, but if I need something from you, I got to tell you about it, and I don't really like that, but I understand that people don't just give out their resources like that. And those of us that do or did, we be in a messed up situation. So I've learned my lesson with that. But I want my questions answered. And I also saw a young man's, and I'm gonna disconnect and stop watching these things because it validates me, but at the same time, you're not. You may seem happy. It's like you get attacked from living your regular life and just doing what you do. Like, so I seen this celebrity man, and he's talking about himself being followed and things like that. That happens to regular people. If you have a gift or a second thing about you, once the Euro people pick up on it, they watching to see what the fuck you're gonna do. Period. I don't need to prove that to you. So I hope you guys like my poem and my song about the wop wop wop. I thought that was pretty funny. And in my opinion, if you are against certain things that we're trying to accomplish dealing with women and the way that we've been relating to each other, I always say this. And I don't just say it to my boyfriend or ex boyfriend, I say it to all men around me, even my father, everybody else. I always say the trauma that comes with those types of relationships, and is that okay for your daughter to go through? If you come back and say it's okay without saying the whole thing, I'm looking at you side eyed because I saw my dad cry for the first time. I was 37 years old when I told him fully in its entirety my experience with the world and how I related to men, and what triggered it was my son, and it'll always come out in your kids. That's the reason why I have an issue with y'all men being okay with the way that we've been doing things in the Euro world. In our culture, y'all know y'all ain't supposed to be doing certain things, but y'all will do it anyway, behind our back, undercover. Some of y'all. Some of y'all take it serious, but some of y'all can't control y'all little ding dings and be fucking shit up. So you can't, I don't like it when you say you're okay with something like that without knowing the full trauma of it. And y'all women who pretend like these type of relationships don't affect us, I don't want to see you or hear your voice. If you know that you have some type of social, mental, or learning advantage over somebody, or manipulative advantage, which most men have, because from what I see, most men are dealing with women that are less advanced than them. When I was in my sexual nature, they knew what they were doing. And so, if it's okay to have private groups about women and who they slept with, or to take private recordings, or to expose who they slept with without saying the whole entire story, without saying how the young man might have manipulated. And then I find out a year later from a friend of mine there was a whole damn orgy meeting before I got there, and they didn't know if I was going to come or not. But because of that, then I don't see why we shouldn't have those private bad men groups. And with the military, the men think they're getting away with certain things when they're doing bad. If you ain't did the shit, it ain't got nothing to do with you. I remember in 2009 when I was deployed to Iraq, and they still had that general order where you can get in trouble for having sex, or Article 15 when you get pregnant.